You want to take time out of your non-busy, miserable day, hiding behind your daddy's money and all this stupid stuff, prank calling someone else because you're bored or whatever it was. Like,
You're not trying to get better at football,
no,
obviously.
you're not getting better at anything. You're just a loser.
What's up, guys? I'm JJ,
I'm Javier.
and this is PM Football. Well, now that the draft is over, what are we going to do with ourselves for the next 3.5 months?
That's a good question. We've invested so much time and effort just for this past weekend.
Yeah.
And it all goes in a flash. And if you had told me Thursday morning how drastically different the NFL storylines would be by Sunday night, like, I wouldn't believe you. Honestly.
You could have given me 100,000 different scenarios, and not one single scenario would there have been Shedeur falling to the 5th round.
I'm happy you brought that up. Let's just address the elephant in the room. Obviously, the biggest story going into the draft was where's Shedeur going. The biggest story after the draft is where Shedeur went.
Yeah.
Personally, and I think a million other people out there would have never guessed Shedeur would fall all the way to the 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. Like, Rappaport said, usually about 2 days before the draft starts, he usually tries to put together some scenarios that no one's really talking about just to be ready for it, to be able to cover it. Not one single time in any of the scenarios he ran through his head was Shedeur falling to the 5th round a possibility.
And I want to say this. I personally had a first-round grade on Shedeur. I think a lot of it had to do with just how weak the QB class was this year. But regardless, I did have a first-round grade on Shedeur. I understand if people don't. Like, I wasn't overly amazed by Shedeur, so I understand if you don't take Shedeur in the first round. But to have him fall all the way to the 5th, that's more than what happened on the field.
And it wasn't even necessarily the fact that he fell to the 5th.
Yeah.
It was the quarterbacks that were going ahead of him.
Yes.
You're telling me that Tyler Shuck, a 26-year-old quarterback who was teammates with Bo Nix.
Wasn't he?
Justin Herbert. You're right. Wrong Oregon guy. Justin Herbert. They were teammates at Oregon.
He's on his second contract. Justin Herbert's on his second NFL contract.
Just got drafted. And he wasn't even that good. I could understand if he had like he had a late career revival in his college career and he just like was like in the Heisman contention this year. Yeah. Sure. Consider him. That's kind of what happened with Bo Nix last year.
In a way.
But he wasn't even in consideration as a Heisman.
No one was talking about Tyler Shuck until like a month or two before the draft.
And that was right around the time of the Combine, which did not help his stock either.
No.
And he still ended up being the 40th overall pick. So the fact that guys like Tyler Shuck, I won't say Dylan Gabriel. I was a fan of Dylan Gabriel. He's a 3rd-round pick. But, like, there's no reason any of those guys should have been picked ahead of Shedeur.
So that kind of brings up my point. Like, obviously it had to do with stuff outside the field. And as you know, it's Tuesday after the draft as we're filming now. As days have gone by since Saturday, which was the last day of the draft, there have been stories and reports coming out saying, like, obviously not the full thing, but just how bad Shedeur's interviews were allegedly. Like, obviously this is all alleged. If everything they're saying is true about how the interviews and all that went, like, he just went about the process completely wrong. He went about it as if he was a guaranteed top 5 pick. And you and me talked about for the Combine when he decided not to throw and not to do the on-field drills. You and me were saying, like, dude, like, you're not good enough to just skip those. And I had a first-round grade on him saying you are not good enough to be skipping the drills. He obviously was told the wrong information, was given the wrong evaluation, whether that be from his father or whoever it was. Either way, he was fed the wrong information to go about things the way he went about it.
Yeah. Now, I will say I personally did not have a first-round grade on him. So after the first night, after Thursday night, I was not – I'll say I was shocked, but I wasn't completely shocked because me personally, I did not have a first-round grade. And I had been saying a couple weeks leading up to the draft that I thought Jackson Dart would end up getting taken ahead of him.
You did.
And he did.
Yeah.
So, leading to the next day, Friday, I thought he was going to be one of the next three picks in the draft.
For sure. I thought without that, within those first 10 picks, Shedeur was getting chosen.
And then he didn't go at all that night either.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when, I mean, not even to the end of that. Like, I would say after pick 50 hit and he still hadn't gone, I knew something was up, and it would probably be a while until he got picked.
I'm going to be honest with you, and I may have texted you this, I can't remember, but once the 4th round ended and he still wasn't chosen, I was like, there might be a legit case he doesn't hear his name called.
Yeah.
Because there was just zero reason for him, at least the evaluation part aspect of it, zero reason for him to fall all the way to the 5th. And even with me having a 1st round grade on him, I understand if a team doesn't want to spend a 1st round pick on him.
Yeah.
Like that's too big of an investment to pick someone that you're not in love with.
I mean, and I don't want to, this is going to come off as wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think for at least the first three, like you're saying, there's no reason he should have been a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Should he have been a day 2 pick? Probably.
Yeah.
Can I understand why he wasn't a day 2 pick? Yes.
Really?
Because, to me at least, and I'm not saying that this is 100% correct, this is just my opinion, I think teams viewed it as the headache outweighed the talent.
I get you. And
do you agree with that, though?
I understand the thinking logic behind it, and I'm happy you brought that up because I'm sure it wasn't just one person who said it, but I can't remember who I heard say it first. It gets to a point where when you fall so much, you're drafting a backup QB at that point. You draft Shedeur as your backup QB. Do you really want that much
attention,
baggage, and attention to be surrounding your backup QB? And if I'm a GM, I wouldn't want that.
And what are we doing here right now? We're talking about a 5th round pick. We're talking about a 5th round pick.
And that's
before
what teams
Cam
are trying
Ward,
to avoid.
Before Cam Ward, before the Travis Hunter, the Jaguars trading up for Travis Hunter. We're sitting here talking about Shedeur.
Yeah.
Like, this is this has done.
Yeah.
No one has talked about anything else that has happened in this draft.
Yeah.
It's that Shedeur has fallen to the 5th round. And to be fair, I don't think he's that good. And everybody's sitting here saying, oh, well, Shedeur didn't go to the 5th. I get it. I feel terrible for him. Yeah. Should he have been a 5th round pick? No. But there's no reason that we should all be sitting here talking about Shedeur. And I like, that might be really harsh. But it just sucks because there's been so many good things that have happened in this draft.
Yeah.
Some teams killed this draft. Mm-hmm. Some teams weren't as good, but like the Travis Hunter trade, no one saw that coming.
What was your reaction?
But like before, like no one's talking about it at all.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
That trade was crazy. That trade was kept secret for weeks.
Yeah.
And until the day before the draft, they were like, "Hey, the Jaguars are probably going to get an offensive weapon." And then the morning of the draft, they were like, "I think the Jaguars are going to trade up for Travis Hunter." Because the day before, everyone was like, "Oh, well, it's going to be Genty or T-Mac at 5." Mm-hmm. And in the morning of, they were like, "No, they're trading to 2 and getting Travis."
And it wasn't even announced until Cleveland was literally on the clock. And I remember sitting at my table watching the draft and hearing, I believe it was Rich Eisen saying, "Hold up, Jacksonville now has the 2nd overall pick."
Yeah.
And I just shot up.
Yeah.
I was like, there is no shot that's happening right now. And back to your point, any other class, that's all we would be talking about.
Yeah.
It's Jacksonville trading from 5 to 2 to get Travis Hunter. But here we are, and here is the rest of the country and the NFL community talking about we cannot believe Shedeur fell all the way to the 5th round. And back to our previous point, no one wants their backup QB getting the attention they're getting.
And let me preface, because I feel like I'm being harsh, but let me preface it by saying I feel terrible for him. He should not have been a 5th round pick.
I feel bad for a lot of people just involved with the draft at all.
But like I was just about to say, he was a 5th round pick, right? You know who else was a 5th round pick?
Who?
And I'm not saying he's anywhere type of caliber of him. Marcus and Bo. I had him as a 2nd round player.
Yeah, I really liked him.
And I had Shedeur as a 2nd round player. Yeah. No one's sitting here crying that Marcus and Bo went in the 5th round.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. There's so many, the prank calls, all that stuff. Like, they did him dirty.
Yeah.
They really did.
Yeah.
But if the rumors are true that your draft process was just one of the worst ever, then how am I supposed to feel bad for
especially
you?
when you don't have the talent to back it
That
up.
if you were far and leaps beyond the number one pick in the draft, sure.
Yeah.
You were not, and you never were.
Yeah.
Like, so the fact that they didn't, the fact that he didn't try to prove to the teams, hey, you're going to miss out on me if you don't pick me.
Yes. And again, this is what makes it the weirdest. This is all alleged. Not saying it's true or false, but we can only base this off of what is being talked about out there. This is all alleged that this is how he went about it. For all we know, none of that is true, but we just have to kind of go along with it because that is what's being reported almost unanimously, that he just went about it awful. He was not respectful about it. He was unprofessional about it. He was unprepared. Like, you cannot do that when your film looks the way it does.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't terrible film. He was a second-round quarterback. Second-round quarterbacks are a pretty good grade.
Yes.
There's not a lot of quarterbacks that are going to get a first-round grade.
Yeah.
There's maybe 3 a year, 4 a year, at best 4.
Average 3, yeah.
To get a second-round grade, and again, the bad part is this was not a good quarterback class. So for you to say you had a first-round grade on him just based off the quarterback class is fair.
Yeah.
I still wasn't as big.
Which I understand. Yeah.
Cam was my only guy in the first round, quarterback-wise.
Yeah.
And then Shedeur was the second one in the second. He was his second-round grade, though. Yeah. So, like I said, I understood him not getting picked in the first. Wasn't in the second. I was like, okay, he'll be the first pick in the third, and then still didn't get picked. And then he got the prank calls, and it's just a bad situation. But at the same time, the fact that we're still sitting here talking about this when so many other things have happened in this draft it sucks because that just stole the entire attention of the draft. The people that don't watch football are talking about this.
Yeah.
Like,
it became this whole, it just became a thing that didn't even involve football anymore. It became such a, political is not the right word.
It was
social thing. I'm trying to just pick out the right words. It became just a social thing where, yes, even people who don't pay attention to the draft and pay attention to football are talking about, hey, Deion Sanders' son was projected to go this high. He went this low. Why do you think it's about it? And people throwing their opinions without ever taking the time to look at things.
That's the craziest part about this entire thing. And I mean, the best way I can describe it are the conspiracy theories behind it. Mm-hmm. My favorite one that I've seen, and I think this is the most likely of scenarios, is that, and I told you this on Friday night, I think. I said, teams, let's say he gets drafted in the second round to the Browns. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, he did go to the Browns, but 3 rounds
just
later.
Hypothetically,
he goes to the Browns in the second round. Mm-hmm. That's the team that he would start for. They don't have a quarterback currently. Yeah. So he goes in, you start 0-4, 0-5 with him as your starting quarterback. The fans aren't going to be mad at him. They're going to be mad at the coaches.
Yeah.
They're going to want the coaches fired. What are they going to be doing? They're going to be calling for Deion to become the next head coach.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, Deion's not going to be quiet about it.
No.
So not only do the fans want Deion, but Deion is probably going to be saying stuff about, oh, well, look what he did when I was coaching them, even though they were only a 600 team when he was coaching them.
To be fair, which is a drastic improvement to what they were before he showed up.
But people are acting like they were the national champions and they were a 500 football team. Besides the point. They're going to want Deion as their head coach. And the coaches, the organization, the players are not going to want that headache on the sideline, in their locker room, and just in the news in general. That's my take. That's the only way that I could see it being plausible that he falls to the 5th, unless they truly just blackballed him. Like that, like legitimately we're just like, no, we don't like you. Like,
I will say, during some parts of the draft, that's honestly what it felt like.
Yeah,
it honestly felt like,
and that's why I'm sitting here saying, like,
owners have to be working together.
Like, that's why I sat here and said I feel terrible for him because there's no reason he should have gone in the 5th.
Yeah,
but I'm just angry that this is the only thing anybody's talking about in this entire draft.
Well, luckily for this episode, we have more things to talk about. But for this one, we're kind of staying on the same note,
Yeah,
sort of.
besides the biggest loser of this draft.
So we're going to talk about our consensus 3 losers and 3
Hold on,
winners.
wait. You want to talk? I have one more thing to say about the Shedeur before we move on. What was your take on the prank call stuff?
For Shedeur specifically or in general?
Just like...
Because it happened to multiple.
That's the thing is everyone's crying that it happened. And I'm not...
I think the biggest reason we're talking about with Shedeur is because his was like live stream.
Yes.
Everyone else wasn't live stream.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, it wasn't like it only happened to Shedeur.
Yeah.
This happened to multiple players.
Yeah. It just happened to be
And
live.
so I just wanted to get what your take was on...
One, it is awful, and I know I'm going to mess up on his last name, Ulbrich.
Yeah, Ulbrich.
I mean, I know I'm not the only one saying this, but like, shame on his son. That's a grown man.
That's the thing that makes me the most upset. He's 21. He's 21 years old.
Bro, really?
That's the thing that makes me the most upset about the situation is, well, he's sorry, he made a mistake. They kept saying he's just a kid.
No,
he's not a kid.
You're a 20, dude. You're a 21-year-old man. Like, what are you doing? Like that, it's not funny. It's not cute. Like,
especially
you are a grown man.
The craziest thing about this is he plays football.
Yeah.
So, not saying, and you probably suck. That's probably why you're doing it, because you're never going to be drafted.
You're a grown man prank calling another grown man on what's supposed to be not just the happiest day of his life, but a happy day for his family, his community. Like so much goes into someone getting drafted, and you want to take time out of your non-busy, miserable day, hiding behind your daddy's money and all this stupid stuff, prank calling someone else because you're bored or whatever it was. Like,
you're not trying to get better at football, obviously.
You're not getting better at anything. You're just a loser.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a loser hiding behind daddy's money.
I do feel bad for Ulbrich, because I guarantee you, there's no case that I will say, this is the craziest conspiracy that I heard.
What?
Was that they did it on purpose.
No.
And they tried to get the sympathy card from that stream to make a team take them. That's the craziest conspiracy I heard. I don't believe it one single bit, but there's a chance
if
it
wasn't for them already saying no, it was Ulbrich's son, then I'd be like, maybe. But the fact that they're like, there was a whole statement taken out, and like and I'm not saying I feel bad for Coach Ulbrich, because like, again, he had nothing to do with this. No. However, to just have zero consequence happen is like,
now this is
what are we doing?
The worst thing about the whole situation. Not only are you dumb enough to do it in the first place, but you are now the dumbest person in the world because you decided to videotape it and show you in the background,
like,
with the only connection to anybody being able to get those numbers.
And you and me talked about this, like, do you know what this could mean for your father in the future? Like, what? Like,
who would want to hire him?
Leaves the Falcons. Your father, because of your dumbass, is a liability. Could be seen as a liability to certain teams and organizations because he can't keep his household under control.
Yeah,
and that's not even the case. It's because you're just an idiot.
Yeah,
like that's why. Like, it's just.
I just want to know how it even happened. Like, that kid went to Ole Miss.
So they said,
but didn't it get filmed in Ole Miss?
Yeah. So they said that the son was back home. I don't know if it was for this past week.
It's probably Easter.
Some point he was back home.
All right, that makes a lot more sense.
Left his work tablet like just out on the kitchen counter, whatever.
Why should he have to hide that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding my tablet in my house.
Yeah,
like,
no.
That's what I'm saying. Coach Ulbrich should. I know it might be weird, but he doesn't deserve any blame.
No.
All blame should go towards his grown son.
Yeah.
Who should understand
and plays football. That's the thing that is just mind-boggling to me. You are a football player with the hope of one day trying to get to the NFL. Can you imagine getting prank called by somebody and saying, hey, we're going to take you right here? Oh, wait, no, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Like, could you just imagine?
It's just loser mentality. It's just.
But I'm telling you, it's because he knows he's a cone and will never be able to get drafted
I
ever.
Agree with you.
So he just is trying to mess with people.
Well, what would you do if that was your son?
He wouldn't be allowed back to the house. Especially if I was the situation of Ulbrich.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say I would disown him, but it'd be pretty close.
I wouldn't disown him.
But it would be pretty close.
Like, ooh, dude, I was thinking about the other day. Like, I'd tell him, like, all right, give me a week.
And I know we were moving on to the next segment, but I just had to bring up that because
I'm happy you did.
That is the most important thing to me in this whole. Sorry, I know that was loud. The whole grand scheme of this thing is the prank call, and that this kid is just getting. Oh well, it's okay. He's a kid. He apologized for it. He'll figure it out.
That's not enough. There needs to be some sort of consequence.
He should be expelled from Ole Miss.
That's the thing. I don't even know if he goes to Ole Miss. He might just have friends at Ole Miss.
That's true.
Because I not in a weird way. I looked him up.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
doesn't he play at some random school?
I would say it's not like he plays at Ole Miss. It looks like he plays for like a lower college, and I don't want to rip on lower colleges. Like, it's hard to play any sort of college football.
But you know what the worst
if you're playing at a lower college, you should not be prank calling a guy.
And you want to know what else is the craziest thing?
What?
I'm not gonna name names, but I've met some players on big teams that have daddies in the NFL.
Yes, they tend not to be good.
But the fact is they still end up at the big colleges. Yes. So you know how bad you are at football to have a dad that was an interim head coach in the NFL, and you still end up going D3.
Yeah,
you suck.
Yeah,
and you suck as a person.
Yeah,
you ruined Shedeur's draft. And
it's just such a pathetic.
And I didn't want this to turn into my God, we hate this kid, but at the same time, I do.
Yeah,
you ruined the draft for everybody.
It's just such a loser mentality.
Because I know it sucks. He probably still would he would have gone in the 5th round regardless. But would we still be sitting here talking about this situation if he didn't get prank called?
Regardless of what round he goes.
But do you think we'd still be sitting here talking about this situation if the prank call never happened? As deeply as we're talking about it right now.
Not nearly as much.
Because that's what everyone pulled the sympathy card.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it wasn't deserved because he did. He got screwed.
Yeah.
There's no reason he should have been a 5th round pick. But not only was he a 5th round pick, he got prank called that he was going to go in the 3rd.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think if the prank call didn't happen, it still would have been a terrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it would have been amplified as much as it has been.
I feel you. We said, and I'm happy you brought it up because that is a big topic. We said the word loser several times throughout this 30-minute rant, however long we've been going on.
I feel like this could be an episode on its own.
Yeah, I could talk about this for like 2 hours.
I feel so bad for Ulbrich.
Yeah, it's not his fault. But we talked about losers several times throughout this little rant, which leads us to our next thing. We have 3 losers of the draft and 3 winners of the draft.
So
we're already. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say the way we went about it. We went a team in general as a loser.
Yeah.
A player that got drafted as a loser.
Yeah.
And then an NFL, like a current player / position group of a team. And then we did a winner and a loser
with
for 3 of those.
Yeah. And we were already talking about Shedeur and the Browns. Let's just bring it up here. One of our losers of the draft is Dillon Gabriel for the exact reason you were just talking about. He got drafted ahead of Shedeur, and
no one has said a word about him.
About Dillon Gabriel,
and we'll probably never get a chance to play.
I feel so bad for him because this was supposed to be the best weekend of his entire life, but here we are talking about his teammate rather than him, even though he got drafted before Shedeur.
And not only do you get the terrible part of, oh, well, you're getting no attention now. You're also going into a quarterback room in the NFL that is one of – it's not – it's such
it's one of the worst.
I wasn't even going to say worst. It's deep. But it's not a good deep. There's just names in it. But, like, even if you were the only quarterback drafted out of this draft from the Browns, you're still going to a quarterback room with Deshaun Watson, who probably will be cut, to be fair, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco. Yeah. So even if it was just those 3 guys on the roster still, you're going to have a really hard time seeing the field year 1 at least. And now on top of the fact of those 3 guys, they go and draft Shedeur too. Yeah. So now, starting the offseason, you're probably that 5th guy on the depth chart as a 3rd round pick.
I really wanted Shedeur to get drafted, especially the more he fell. I really wanted him to get drafted because I felt so bad.
Yeah.
But not to the Browns. You already drafted the quarterback. Like, I just hate that.
But that's to the point of the draft that we got to was, like, everybody had already taken one.
Yeah.
So, like, regardless, like, my personal hope was that a good team was just going to say, you know what, the talent is too good to still be here.
That's what I was hoping would happen.
We're just gonna take him to be our backup.
That's what I was hoping would happen as well,
but it didn't.
The Browns double dipped, and now Dillon Gabriel's put in this awkward situation where, in his mind, and I think this is his mindset going into it, he's like, I could go win a starting spot. Yeah. I should go in and win a starting spot. But instead, he's probably going to get questions asked about Shedeur.
No one's going to be asking him about his game.
No.
It's how do you feel about being a teammate with Shedeur?
Yeah. So that's why he's our loser. It has nothing to do with his playing capability.
When they took him originally, before the Shedeur pick, I literally was sitting with a group of people and said, that dude might be their starting quarterback this year.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of his game.
You are. Yeah.
So, I like how you say you are. Not necessarily. You're not even.
I don't think he's bad.
I think his game translates to the NFL.
I had Shedeur ahead of him in my.
I did too.
Yeah.
I had Gabriel as my third quarterback, though.
Okay.
So, they got my second and third best quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Dylan Gabriel's one of our. I don't want to sound like we're calling him a loser, but, like, just his situation just sucks.
Yeah.
It's really bad. But on to our team that we feel like just didn't improve as much as other teams. We have the Miami Dolphins, and I'll go over their picks real quick. In the first round, they took Kenneth Grant.
You said Kenneth Grant?
It's been a long day. It's being football. It's been a long day. First round, Kenneth Grant. Second round, you're going to have to say his name. Jonah
Savaianai, the guard out of Arizona.
They don't have another pick until the fifth round, which, I mean, that's got to say you don't have a third or fourth round. That kind of sucks. But
which would tell you, let's get the guys we actually need with those first two picks.
Absolutely.
Not saying Kenneth Grant is. I'll let you continue, though, before we get into this.
But in the fifth round, they took Jordan Phillips, Jason Marshall Jr., and Dante Trader Jr. In the sixth round, they took Ollie Gordon. Seventh round, your guy, Quinn Ewers.
Not my guy.
Your guy, Quinn
Not
Ewers.
my guy.
And Zeke Biggers. So,
like I was just saying, you just mentioned they don't have a third or fourth round pick, correct?
Yeah, which is going to hurt. You don't have.
What was the only thing we were talking about the Dolphins needing the entire offseason?
You needed offensive line.
You needed offensive line. And I hate this because I would almost continue to the loser thing is I feel bad for Kenneth Grant because I think Kenneth Grant is a great player. It just happened so that he went to the team that didn't necessarily need him as their biggest need. And I get they valued him as a 12th overall pick. Sure, 13th. You can do that. 13th overall pick. I get that you can do that. But is Kenneth Grant blocking for Tua next year? Like, I'm confused.
One of our favorite sayings on this show is
it's brains noodle soup, dude.
Brains noodle soup, dude, and Polynesian mashed potatoes.
Yes.
You go get a little bit of both now because you don't got anyone protecting
him. And
not
only do you not have anybody protecting him, you got that guy at practice now trying to kill Tua.
Yeah, and the guy you did draft in the second round, Jonah Savaianai. I'm never going to learn how to say that.
It's one of the
I was never
ones.
a fan of his personally. Like, watching his film throughout the process, I just was not a fan of his.
I mean, it got to the point where they kind of dug themselves in a hole of we're waiting this long to draft an offensive lineman and we don't have a third or a fourth, so we just have to take the best available. I still don't think he was the best available at that point, but it was a name that was being talked for that range, even though we personally didn't have a grade on him to that degree. But I can't be a cosign of this draft if those are your first two picks. And on top of the fact that you weren't picking again until the fifth round.
Yeah, where you took Jason Marshall, who I'm not a fan of at all, and Ollie Gordon, who regressed significantly in this past season, like just throughout. Like, I can't sit here and say your draft is as big of a threat as a lot of other teams.
Yeah. And then you top it off by taking Quinn Ewers for no reason.
I mean, one, I'm not trying to defend it because they are our loser of the draft. But one, at least we could say he was a seventh round pick. And two, like, I mean, I don't know. Why not?
They signed Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
So
Quinn could be third. Quinn's a little
cool.
Yeah. But that's exactly why there are losers of the draft. It's just not.
And again, it sucks because I like Kenneth Grant.
Yeah.
Just not to that team with the situation
not
that they have.
High. That was, for me personally, he went a lot higher than I thought he should have gone.
No, and like, you can say that. But like, let's just say this scenario is switched and the Niners took him. With the Niners needing defensive tackle as bad as they did, and they just said, hey, we love Kenneth Grant, I would have been that would have been a way better situation.
I would have been higher on it if it was the 49ers.
They wouldn't be the worst team, the worst draft in the the worst grade in the entire draft.
At least
I'll
to
tell you
us,
that.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree
with him going to the Dolphins, with the offensive line help that they needed, and they didn't attack it until the second round with a guy that we just personally didn't like,
Yeah.
we did not like the draft.
Absolutely.
What grade would you give it?
Dog.
I go D plus maybe.
I was thinking D plus C minus.
Yeah.
I'll give it a C minus.
I'll be generous.
I'll give it a C
even
minus
though it is
'cause
the
I'm feeling
Dolphins, and I'm
nice.
not a Dolphins guy at all.
C
obviously,
minus
but-
because I'm feeling nice and because someone whose relationship I value is a big Dolphins fan. So, yeah.
Okay. And then on to the final loser. Instead of going player, we decided to go an entire pretty much position group at this point.
Basically, yeah.
We picked the Dallas Cowboys run game.
Yeah.
And I know the Dallas Cowboys fans have something to say about this.
Man, I don't care about those crap.
Not only did you not draft, when did they draft?
They drafted a
They
running
went-
back in the 5th round.
They waited until the 5th round of this draft to decide, hey, we should probably address our run game.
Hold up.
Not only do they take
Thank you.
the running back in the 5th round,
Took a 3rd down back.
they took a glorified receiver
Who's
with
talented.
that pick.
Don't get
Who
me wrong.
I love Jaden Blue. He's a Texas
Talented.
guy.
You need a number 1 running back, though, if you're Dallas.
Oh, don't worry. They drafted Phil Maffa in the 7th. That's going to
let's
fix
double
things.
dip on the one. Let's get a running back who only really has one specialty, and then let's get another running back who's just not that good.
I think I figured it out.
Yeah,
I think Jerry Jones may have invented a new technology where you can combine two players' attributes. Because if Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue had a baby, they'd be the best football player of all time.
yeah.
Because of the size of Maffa and the speed of Jaden Blue, I don't know who's stopping that. That's better than Saquon Barkley. But we're in reality, and that's not a possible thing. You got two of those guys that do completely opposite things of each other,
21 personnel.
and they're not that good.
You'll have a lot of 21 personnel.
So if you just think Javonte Williams is going to be your workhorse this year, I guess that's good for you because that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
But I got some bad news for you. It ain't going to work out.
It's not going to work at all. I really thought.
Oh, but hold on. We forgot about one guy. They did bring in Miles Sanders. We got to
Yeah.
remember that.
They still have Deuce Vaughn.
The guy that got cut by the Panthers.
They still have Deuce Vaughn. We mustn't forget.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, maybe throw him into the mix,
Yeah,
too. And
absolutely.
just, if they all had the combination, and then it was Deuce Vaughn's size.
Like, what's Dallas can't run the ball.
You know
Like,
what?
what are you supposed to do now? You literally, it's to the point. Even with Rico Dowdle was significantly more of a threat than what they have right now. How did you regress from Rico Dowdle? I don't get that.
I'm really mad that you told me they still have Deuce Vaughn because I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
That Jaden Blue pick looks so much worse now because that is what Jaden Blue will be.
Just taller.
He's just about an inch taller.
Yeah.
Not even really. He's legitimately like 2 inches taller than him.
Yeah.
And Deuce Vaughn is what, 5'6"?
I'm taller than him by like half an inch. Yeah.
So not only did you not bring in a running back that you didn't have on the roster already, you took a guy that is 2 inches taller than the shortest player in the NFL.
As your first running back, take it. Now, roles reverse, like, say you don't get Phil Maffa at all, but you get, like, Jaden Blue in the 7th, but you address running back, like, in the 1st or 2nd round. Completely different story.
Now, let's look back a couple picks. I loved their first three picks, Dallas. Dallas's first three picks, they went Booker, we were huge fans of.
Massive.
Ezeraku, a guy that had a first-round grade by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then Siobhan Ravel.
In the 3rd
who,
round.
at the beginning of the season, was a first-round grade until he tore his ACL. Great three picks.
Yeah.
You're forgetting about one thing, though, that I had mentioned before last season started that was going to make you guys not a good team, is you're one-dimensional and you don't have a run game.
Yeah.
To me, you still don't have a run game.
It's good for Washington because we just got to make sure CD doesn't get the ball. Like, at this, just make sure CD doesn't get the ball.
They didn't even get another weapon.
Yeah. They're still one-dimensional.
What are we talking about?
They're still
I
one-dimensional.
loved the first three picks, but if those first three picks were not there, the Dallas Cowboys are the loser of this draft.
Yeah, I agree. Tyler Booker.
Did they draft a receiver?
No. They took 2 running backs, though.
I think we've messed this up. I legitimately think they might be the loser of this draft.
I don't want to say that just because on how high I am on Tyler Booker and Donovan
I understand that.
really saved them.
I understand that, but is Zach Martin better than Tyler Booker? Yes.
Yeah.
You can't even say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
and they lost Zach Martin, so he's replacing him now.
yeah.
How did they get better? They didn't get better.
I really love. Look,
I understand.
I
understand, but did they get better? No, they didn't. If you put it that way, you lose one of the best guards of all time, and you're replacing him with a rookie.
Yeah, which we love. We
like this guy a lot. Yeah. I don't think
I
don't think he'll ever touch Zach Martin.
I don't know. I'm really high on him.
You think he's going to be better than Zach Martin?
I'm not saying that at all. I completely understand. Huge shoes to fill. I understand the likelihood of him reaching that level. Most likely not than will. But I really do like Tyler Booker. I remember when they drafted him, I was so mad because of how high I am on Tyler Booker. So I think he's going to be really good in the NFL.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he will be Zach Martin. I'm not saying he won't be Zach Martin. I'm just simply saying I wouldn't put them below the Dolphins because on how high I am on Tyler Booker and the value they got in rounds 2 and 3. That's what's saving them, really.
All right, ready to do this again?
Sure.
Did they lose DeMarcus Lawrence? Is Donovan Ezaraku better than DeMarcus Lawrence?
No.
Did they get better?
No,
they did not get better.
Which is good for Washington.
The only place they may have gotten better is Savon Ravel, who is coming off of an ACL tear.
I wouldn't even say.
He's coming off of an ACL tear. So, I don't know. I might have just talked myself out of this draft being solid. But in all things being serious, their run game is non-existent still.
Yeah. Like as a Washington fan, very happy. All we have to do is figure out ways to stop CD. Not going to say it's going to be easy, but when that's all you really have to do to stop that offense, I'll take that than the alternative.
No, like I kept seeing people putting really low grades on the Dallas draft.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why. I just talked myself into it.
You just had to look at it.
That was not a good draft. It really wasn't.
I really like the Tyler Booker.
I understand that. But you're losing one of the best guards to ever play the game.
Yeah.
And I would say there's about a 99.98% chance he will never be better than Zach Martin. And I would say that about any player to play guard.
I mean, time would tell. Those are our losers. Now to our winners on a higher note.
Yes.
Let's talk about our winners. We just finished talking about one team. Let's talk about a team we feel like has drastically improved throughout the draft. And personally, I feel like this entire offseason is a giant dub for them. The New England Patriots, to us, had the best draft. We do want to say some honorable mentions because there were 3 teams that we feel like could have a very strong argument on being in first place. Those are the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Tampa Bay Bucks, who just from top to bottom of their
straight
draft,
value.
Amazing value, amazing talent. Those 3 teams, as well as the Patriots, significantly strengthened their roster.
And it wasn't even just amazing value. It was at positions of need.
Yeah.
They were the winners of this draft. But the clear, I wouldn't even say clear, like just we had a debate about it.
Yeah.
Our consensus winner was the Patriots because we just felt from the first round to the 7th round, they filled all their positions of need with great talent.
Amazing value. So, and it also helps, let me just count real quick.
They had like 10 picks.
Like 11 picks. Yeah, which is more than the ones we mentioned previously. So I feel like that kind of gave them that little edge, the fact that they had more picks and pretty much hit a home run on all of them.
Yeah.
So we'll start from the beginning. Obviously, 4th overall, Will Campbell. Dude, I love his speed. Not even speed, just his response. Like, I'm willing to fight and die for my quarterback.
Yes.
I want a Will Campbell jersey.
Too bad you just think he's a guard.
I think he'll be an all-pro guard. Don't call him just a guard, an all-pro guard.
Yeah, even though he's going to be their tackle.
Or a Pro Bowl tackle.
That's a little bit different than what you were saying earlier. But
no, I've been saying a Pro Bowl tackle, but I'd rather have an all-pro guard than a Pro Bowl tackle. That's just me personally.
All right.
I think he'll still be a good tackle. Just think he'll be a better guard. But regardless, very worthy of the 4th overall pick. great player. He's going to be great in the NFL. Their second round pick, Travion Henderson. Third round, you get Kyle Williams out of Washington State. Third round, you get Jared Wilson out of Georgia. Fourth round, you get Craig Woodson out of California. Your other fourth round pick, Joshua Farmer out of Florida State, who at one point was
Day 2 consideration.
I'm thinking Daniel Jeremiah had him in his top 50, like around combine time, like
I
overall.
think he was
prospects.
in his top 40.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like great value to get in the fourth round. Fifth round, you get Braden Swinson, who's having talks about being a second round pick.
I thought when we traded up, the Bills traded up at 41, I thought we were taking Braden Swinson.
Yeah,
He didn't go till about 100 picks later.
absolutely.
So that's how I thought about
You
him.
get your next kicker in Andres Borregales. You get a tackle in Marcus Bryant out of Missouri. You get a long snapper in the seventh, like not the greatest, but like it's
You want to know how good of a
seventh round
draft you're having?
pick. You can afford to get a long snapper.
And a kicker. You fixed your special teams in one draft.
And you get Kobe A. Minor out of Memphis.
I didn't say that.
Uh-oh.
I didn't say that.
Say Drake, what do you think of this class? Obviously, you like it a lot. There are winners, just top to bottom, very solid.
Like I mentioned, getting Braden Swinson in the 5th round, which I truly had a second round grade on, amazing value. And then you get your franchise left tackle, hopefully. Mm-hmm. You get Travion Henderson, who was predicted by almost every single person to be a first round pick. Mm-hmm. Not having the move for him. You stay at your pick and you pick him. Move over, Ramondre. It is Travion season. Yeah. And then, not only do you get those two guys with your first 2 picks, you take one of my favorite players in the entire draft in Kyle Williams.
Who I think will pair nicely with Stephon Diggs. Yes.
And Mac, I mean, I'm not saying Mac Hollins going to do world,
but he's a contributor at least.
And they still have Polk. They still have Booty, which I don't know how much they plan on. It's Booty.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was Boutte.
No, it's Booty.
Nice.
Don't know how much he's going to be a contributor this year, but regardless, you still have him in the building, and you got Pop Douglas.
Yeah.
So you got weapons now.
And then you solidify the trenches with getting a center from Georgia and Jared Wilson. And then on the defensive side, you get Joshua Farmer, D tackle, and the edge and Braden Swinson.
Just depth.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look at New England's roster from last year and look at it right now, very different.
Yeah.
Improves drastically. They're not only our winners of the draft, but me personally might be the winner of the entire offseason.
Now, I have a question.
Sure.
It's a little bit off topic.
Sure. It's our show.
It's a debate between me and one of my buddies.
Okay.
Do you think the Patriots, and you guys answer this question too if you're still watching somehow, do you think the Patriots or the Raiders will have a better season this year?
The Patriots.
All right, continue.
I mean, I honestly didn't even really have to think about that too hard. Just what Drake May showed last year and how they just built the roster this offseason. Like, I mean, chef's kiss to New England. Like, it does not look like last year's team. Me personally, they're probably my biggest winner of the entire offseason. I love what they've done.
And I know it's kind of similar to how you feel because the Eagles had a really good draft. The Giants actually had a pretty solid draft. Mm-hmm. And the Cowboys, we kind of talked about it. Hated it a little bit as we thought.
I like the Tyler Booker pick, though.
But like you said, they had good drafts. Or like I said, they had good drafts that are in your division.
Yeah.
It's having to sit here and say that the Patriots had one of the best offseason and best drafts.
I'm sure it's very painful.
Is hard to hear because that was the team that I had to grow up, watch, beat the Bills every single week.
You know what? You're a better man than I am because I would never, even if
I literally was sitting here before when we were going through the team saying, you know what? Philly had a pretty good draft. And you were like, I will never, ever in my life give them credit. So now we have to change it and give it to my division. But
you could have said no. I would have.
No, but I couldn't because I loved their draft.
Yeah.
They took 2 of my favorite players in Swinson and Kyle Williams.
Yeah.
And now, since we were just talking about the Raiders, moving on to the winner.
Thank you. One of our other winners is Geno Smith / Brock Bowers. And the reason we say that is because of what they've done
to that offense.
Yeah. Brock Bowers has a lot more help now as of last year where it was literally just him.
He went from being the only option to the top option.
Yeah.
Now they have other weapons there. They got a Genti. They drafted my guy and Jack Besh. I mean, if you watched the show one singular time, I think I've said his name 40,000 times. Yeah. Jack Besh is one of my favorite players in the entire draft. It's a great scheme fit for me because he can be that slot, that vertical slot receiver for them, and there's just a big body slot for them. And you still have Jacoby on the outside, and then they drafted Dante Thornton as that deep threat.
No slouch.
He's literally going to line up on the outside and just run a vertical and a post to clear everything out. And if you don't cover him, Geno will get him the ball.
Which is why we're also including Geno in this, because just the amount of weapons you have as to before when you first came here, and it was literally only Brock. Now you have Ashton in the backfield with you. Like you said, Jack Besh helping you out. Dante Thornton Jr. helping you out, and Brock Bowers still developing into an all-pro. Like, it really, this Raiders offense looks so much different than what it looked like last year, which is why they're one of our winners.
And then you get a Charles Grant later into the draft, too. Because, I mean, the whole argument for me at 6 for not taking Genti is you need to solidify that right tackle. And I'm not sitting here saying Charles Grant is going to be your future right tackle, but he's that developmental piece. I
was literally about to say that.
That could become that.
They also got Caleb Rogers out of Texas Tech, another guy you could go and develop.
Yeah.
So, like, they are investing in that offense who was horrible last year if you take out Brock Bowers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, absolutely. Vegas, Geno Smith, Brock Bowers. You are one of our winners of the draft because you drastically improved that side of the ball.
Yeah. And then I think our biggest winner of the entire draft, a player that was drafted, Travis Hunter.
Yes.
You just dodged the biggest bullet possible.
Dude, you could have gone from having to, 1, live in Cleveland, 2, play for Cleveland.
Yeah.
3,
play with Shedeur again.
No, I'm not going to use Shedeur. But, like, the fact that you would go into this offseason and season not knowing who's even going to throw you the ball, as to now you have Trevor Lawrence, who, like, kind of had a down year last year, but, like, you could still hope that he ends up at least becoming solid or decent.
And not to mention, they had their rookie receiver last year go for what, 1,200 yards, 1,400 yards. He isn't the guy. Travis Hunter isn't going into an offense being worried about as the only guy. He is going to an offense that has an elite superstar receiver lined up next to him. He's going to make that job so much easier for him.
Next to Travis Hunter's going to feed generations, bro.
Yes.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be so fun to watch that offense next year, assuming Trevor Lawrence comes back healthy and kind of gets in the groove of things.
Yeah. And, I mean, they bring in an offensive coach that was amazing for the Bucs.
Yeah.
No one was expecting the offensive firepower to continue after they lost Dave Canales the year before. Everybody was saying, oh, well, the Bucs are going to drop off because Canales is now the Panthers head coach.
Yeah.
No, they might have been even better last year than they were the year before. And that's all because of Liam Cohen. And now he is going to be the guy in charge down there with a weapon like Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., and people hate on Trevor, but, like, that dude was the first overall pick for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I get there's some really bad first overall picks. But I really don't think Trevor is that.
I think there's still hope for him. He's not. I think it's a little too late to think he'll be that, like, elite guy.
Yeah.
But he's not a guy that you're going to think is, like, the reason why you're losing games.
I think I was 1 year early on the Jags hype train.
Maybe.
I think I was a year early.
I definitely feel better about them going into this season than I was last season.
Yes, 100%.
Just to recap our 3 losers and winners of the NFL draft. 3 losers were the Miami Dolphins because of us not being a fan of their class, not addressing the offensive line a lot sooner than what they should have.
And then when they did, it wasn't a great player.
It wasn't a great pick. Dylan Gabriel, because of what he has to deal with being selected by the Browns, and no one's even talking about you because everyone's too busy talking about Shedeur and that whole situation. Like, you really do got to feel bad for Dylan Gabriel there. And the Cowboys' run game, because you just
drafted a receiver to play running back.
Like, you didn't get better in the run game. Like, how did you downgrade from Rico Dowdle
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you downgraded.
You downgraded
Rico
from
Dowdle.
Zeke and Rico Dowdle.
Like,
Like,
yeah.
How?
Dallas Cowboys run game, our last loser.
And then the winners.
Our 3 winners, New England Patriots, amazing draft class in
Yes.
our opinion. Travis Hunter, you avoided going to Cleveland in that whole dysfunction thing.
And you get to play with an elite superstar receiver and hopefully like that quarterback.
And maybe even a better offense with Liam Cohen. I mean, we'll see. And Geno Smith / Brock Bowers, because the Raiders offense just looks completely different now than it did last year.
Yep.
So those are our 3 losers and winners. Also, again, shout out Chiefs, Ravens, Bucks. Also had really good drafts.
Yep.
Real quick, who was your steal of the draft?
My steal of the draft, and you're going to hate this, but I wasn't allowed to talk about them in the winners portion, so I'm going to talk about right now. Jahad Campbell going number 31. He was a top 12 player in this entire draft, and not only did he fall, but in his case, this might have been the best thing that ever happened in his life because he's going to a team that is going to get the best out of him. You just got to hope that shoulder's okay. And the Eagles did it again. That's all I can say. The Eagles did it again.
How do we allow Howie Roseman to get away with it? Like
I feel like on the first night of the draft,
it's shameful.
The Eagles and the Chiefs called each other, and they were like, hey, I'm itching to make a move. I haven't been able to make a move.
Well, did you hear they were trying
22.
to get up since like 22? Yeah, I mean.
But he was just, Howie cannot sit still, so he was just like, hey, we're going to pick Jahad. So as long as you guys aren't, you can trade back with us and we'll give you a free 6th round pick. They were like, all right, we're taking Josh Simmons. That's cool. And then they made that deal. And not only to just add insult to injury to the entire league, the 2 best teams in the league just were laughing at the rest of the league saying, hey, we're going to swap these picks and get the guys we actually wanted regardless. And the Eagles just got a top 12 player at 31. And I don't think there's anything else left to say. That was the steal of the draft.
I'm just very disappointed. But my steal of the draft was Will Johnson going all the way to the 2nd round. I understand it had a lot to do with injury concerns and all that stuff.
He might be walking around on a wooden peg for all we know. There's no reason that man should have been the 47th pick.
Just strictly talent-wise, like, I'm such a huge Will Johnson fan, and I don't think the injury, and I'm hoping the injury isn't so bad to where he has to miss time and whatnot. Like, he could show up as a solidified starter and has a real case to be a potential defensive rookie of the year.
He was a top 5 pick.
Yes. He's so good.
He was a top 5 pick. You
got a top 5 pick in the 2nd round.
His knee must be missing so much cartilage. Like, that's literally the only thing I could think. There's no reason he should have been on the board.
Could you just imagine if it was, not to say like a false alarm kind of thing, but like it's not as bad as they think, like his knee, and like he'll be like good to go. And,
well, to be fair,
not gonna affect him, like how much damage he's gonna do to an offense.
Well, to be fair, if every single team passed on him, every team passed on him once.
Yeah.
The fact that it was as bad as that, with him being, in our opinion, a top 5 player in this draft.
Yeah.
That's how good he is still, though. He might not be able to walk normal. And the team still took him in the 2nd. Like, do you hear how crazy that is?
Yeah.
This guy might not be able to walk normal ever again with this medical issue that he has with his knee. A team was still like, hey, if there's the 2% chance that he can walk without a limp for the rest of his life, we're going to take him in the 2nd round so no one else can.
Absolutely. So my steal of the draft, Will Johnson, yours.
Was Jahad Campbell to the Eagles at 31.
Yeah. Shameful.
Yep. All right.
We want to talk about our teams next. It's our show. We do what we want. We want to talk about our teams.
Yeah.
And we'll start with mine, the Commanders. I will start by saying this. When we first selected Josh Connerly in the 1st round at 29, I'll admit, at the moment, I wasn't excited about it, and it had nothing to do at all with his talent. It had everything to do with me wanting to get an edge rusher, especially when Mike Green was still on the board. when I didn't think he would be available at all at 29. Seeing him available at 29, it was no doubt in my mind, like, we have to take Mike Green here. End up taking Josh Connerly. Was a little upset about it for a few minutes. And then you really start thinking about it. And man, Chef AP playing chestnut checkers. I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard on the Chef AP train. I truly believe this was the right pick. And this is the right investment we need to make, not only for Jaden, but for our organization as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was more of a fan of the pick before you were. I think that's very fair to say.
Because I was definitely, and I'll admit, I was looking at it more of a, what do we need positional-wise? Again, this had nothing to do with Josh Connerly, the player. If anything, I was higher on Josh Connerly than you were. I am a huge Josh Connerly
Which is
fan.
why it was so surprising to me that I was higher on the actual pick than you were at the beginning.
Josh Connerly was rated as my third best tackle. Technically, second because I put Will Campbell more as a guard, but if we're including Will Campbell as a tackle, which I think we should at this point now, then
yes.
Josh Connerly is my third best tackle in the class. So to get him at 29, I am all aboard for it. I'm all for it. I think it's a great pick. And the pick that I like even more than that is our second round pick, getting Trey Amos in the second round.
I wouldn't have been mad if we took him at 30.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if we took him at 29.
Exactly.
Like Trey Amos in the second
I
round.
wonder why he fell.
I don't know.
I legitimately could not think of a reason as to why he fell, unless he was just not a great interviewer, maybe.
Maybe.
But, man, the tape speaks for itself.
The film is so good, man. And, not only do they come in right away and they're instant starters, they push the guys we already had there down who were solid guys. Now, at least with Amos, you move Sanders still from the outside to the inside, which is his most natural position. And you have Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos on the outside with Sanders still playing nickel. That lineup compared to what we had last year with Emmanuel Forbes,
dog,
Benjamin St. Laden,
dog,
and Noah I /
he's still there though, right?
No, I like him, but now he's gonna ride the bench, which
he'll be a rotational guy.
Yeah, I'm all.
He'll be in there on dime,
and I like Noah Igbenogany.
He'll be in there on dime.
I really he was really.
That's what really helps you now, though, is that you can have him and Sanders still be the dime slot guys.
That's exactly where I was going with this. Not only do you get instant starters, you just naturally create more depth and instant value in that room. And Josh Connerly does the exact same thing because it looks like most likely he's going to move to right tackle, which means you move either Wiley on the inside or you send him on the bench. So to have a guy that was our starter last year, that it was a solid year for him last year compared to the year before. Now that he could be right in our bench or Allegretti's right in our bench, regardless, you are adding great depth and also an instant starter. So I love our 2 first-round picks. And then you get Jalen Lane, who's now going to be our punt returner. Which is what we desperately need. He also gets to learn from Debo and Terry to hopefully, get some play on the field. We'll see what he does with that. He's really fast. So I have high hopes with that, but I know going in, he'll most likely be strictly our punt returner and get some reps here and there on offense. Kane Medrano, linebacker of UCLA. Not the biggest fan. Definitely just coming strictly for special teams. Really nothing else more. I think
literally nothing else.
Yeah, I think really the only reason we drafted him was because of the strong connections Adam Peters and Ken Norton has to UCLA.
Yeah, you guys didn't take Schlesinger, so you had to take the other one.
Yeah, exactly. And then our 7th round pick, running back Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I'm going to be honest. I don't hate the pick. Obviously, it's a 7th rounder. I'm not going to hate the pick. And his highlight film does look very good.
Those 13 snaps he played this year.
I'm seeing some Commanders fans being like, this is our next certified RB1. This guy's going to raise the roof. I'm like, all right, calm down. Again, I'm not hating on the guy. I think it was a solid pick, but
he played one game this year.
Washington fans, let's
now he did get screwed. He got screwed this year.
He did by the NCAA. But I just want to say Washington fans, not all of us, some of us.
Pipe it down.
Yeah, let's simmer down here. But overall, I would give Washington an A-.
Solid. I'd give them I think I go B plus.
I think that's valid.
I would go B plus just because I feel like you may have been able to get a better value linebacker at the pick you took.
Okay.
That linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I mean, I'm the same way. Like, I just wish we could have gotten Mike Green.
I'm not mad at B plus.
But like, again, I thought Connerly was a great pick. I thought Amos was a great pick. I just said I thought we would take him at 30.
Yeah.
And the rest of the draft was just depth guys, depth pieces.
And like really focusing on special teams as well, which is important. So yeah, I give our class an A minus.
Moving on to us.
Move on to you, to Buffalo.
So with our first pick, we took Max Harrison, Mad Max, that press man speed demon. And the best part is he's not even just a press man corner. He can play zone. He has very good zone eyes. Has great ball skills. He had 5 picks 2 years ago. And he's fast. Like, he has great recovery speed. They kept showing the clip of him getting beat or like off the ball by Isaiah Bond on a post. And his recovery speed is insane that he was able to catch up, jump about 4 feet in the air, and knock the ball before the ball was caught for a touchdown. Thought that was an awesome pick. Again, I kind of thought it was going to be Trey Amos. I thought he fit us a little bit better schematically, like playing that zone coverage mainly. But to be fair, when we were in man situations last year, we did not have a guy to be able to play that role for us. That's what Maxwell Hairston's doing for us. Moving on to the second round, we took TJ Sanders. We traded up for him.
Yeah.
I was not thrilled when we traded up to get him, but after watching his tape over again, after hearing Bean talk about the role he'll play for us, I'm a very big fan of this pick, mainly because like Ed Oliver's good, right? Like he's solid, but like, does anybody really talk about Ed Oliver as the guy that's going to be scaring you defensively? TJ Sanders can be that guy.
Yeah, I like him. I texted you when we made the pick. I like him a lot.
And he won't have to start right away. That is my favorite part about it. And we play such a heavy rotation already on the defensive line that if him and Ed Oliver can play 60-40, 50-50% of the snaps, that's a great rotation. Next, we took Landon Jackson in the third round. Great value pick. I was worried we were going to take him in the first round. I remember telling you that. That the only thing I'd be mad about is if we took Landon Jackson in the first round.
If you were to take Landon Jackson in the first round, my grade for you guys would be very different.
Yes. We got him in the third, though. That's a lot different. I think the potential of a player like that, again, in the third round, not the first round, could be really fun. He's got the length. He needs to work on his pass rushing moves, but he's just tall. He can long arm. He can set the edge. And he had a 40.5-inch vertical at the combine. That's an athletic freak. Then we move on. The fourth round, we trade up on day 3 early on. Again, for another defensive tackle. This time I was ecstatic because we actually took a 1-tech in Deion Walker. Deion Walker's 2023 tape, according to Brandon Bean, is first-round grade worthy. That's what he said during his press conference. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, but I can't disagree with the guy that has a GM role. He had a first-round grade on Deion Walker in 2023 and felt like if he played 95% of what he played in 2023 last year, he probably would have been a first-round pick this year as well. But he had a back issue. That's the biggest problem with him. And that's part of the reason why he fell to the fourth round. They're hoping to get his back right and get him back to what he was in 2023. And if they do, that was a major steal for them. Then they went on and took Jordan Hancock, who's going to be a slot mainly. They're going to try him out at safety. He played outside corner in college. He's going to be our Swiss Army knife in the defensive backfield. Then we went and took Jackson Haas, who's going to be our next Lee Smith. Dorian Strong in the 6th, who I thought probably should have gone higher than the 6th round. Strong, physical press man corner. Then we went and took Chase Lunt, offensive tackle out of UConn. Again, I thought was great value. 6'8", like 315, very Spencer Brown reminiscent. And then with the final pick in the 7th round, we took Caden Prather, who's a tall speed guy. And that's what I had said originally going into the draft is we needed to find a vertical threat offensively in the receiver room. And I'm not saying Caden Prather is going to be a starter for us, but that's what he is.
That's what the later rounds are for for high, like, what am I trying to say? Like, high potential guys and just depth.
Yeah.
That's what you're really trying to get those later rounds, and I think that's what you guys got.
So overall, we attacked the defense, which was our biggest need of any need. I hate the Bills fans that are complaining about that we didn't take a receiver. Why would we need to take a receiver when we upgraded our receiving core in the offseason and we're still scoring 30 points a game?
I get, and I sent you the video. I get why Bills fans are upset about
I legitimately don't understand.
However, I love and understand where your GM is coming from, and I love that he was standing on business about it. And his arguments were valid. Like, he brought up very valid arguments.
I don't understand the argument of what, like, who are we taking receiver-wise ahead of Hairston, TJ, and Landon that are going to put more of an impact into a game than those three? Please tell me. Anyone? Like, in the comments, please leave a... I get Luther Burden was on the board at the end of the first, but what, we're going to bring Luther Burden in to be our third receiver? Right off the bat? He's not playing more than Keon or Khalil. In my opinion. Am I crazy for saying that?
Not necessarily. No, it's hard to tell, especially it's going to be a rookie that was drafted in the second round. So for him to get drafted by you guys at 30, then just assume he's automatically going to take over that X role, like, it is kind of hard to imagine that. Yeah.
We addressed the positions we needed to address. Again, would I have loved us to take a Jalen Royals ahead of Jordan Hancock? Maybe. But even then, like, is Jalen Royals at that point going to be able to help us on special teams too? No. He's a receiver. Jordan Hancock's going to be able to come in and play special teams for us right away. Like, you guys are just trying to overreach. Like, I get there's receivers on the board, but there's reasons some of these guys are falling, and it's because they can't play other positions. The late round picks are guys that are going to be playing everywhere on this team for the first couple of years because they're trying to make this roster.
Yeah.
A Jalen Royals in the fourth round, while it may seem like great value, I don't think it's better value than getting Deion Walker, who is going to contribute right away for us.
So what grade would you give the Bills for this draft class?
I would give us an A-. I really liked that we double dipped on the corner room. Are you going to give us a B+?
Yeah. We're literally just flipping it. Yeah.
I like that we double dipped at corner. I like that we double dipped at D tackle. I thought those were the biggest needs of our entire team. And then we took another edge rusher who's a developmental guy that could turn into something. And then we took a bunch of depth and the best blocking tight end in the entire draft. So I am very excited to see what these guys bring to our team next year. And I'm excited to see what the Commanders team looks like, too, after taking...
Yeah, I can confidently say, which is kind of crazy to say with where both our teams finished last year, both our teams got better. I could confidently say throughout this offseason, through the draft, both of our teams got better, for sure. So, yeah, I like y'all's draft.
Thank you.
Anything,
even like I did anything.
Anything you would like to say before we wrap this up?
No, this was a fun episode.
It was.
I liked doing this.
Who you got, 100 men or a gorilla?
Give me that gorilla.
Really?
There's no shot 100 men. I'm not going to keep going on this because this video is already probably an hour and a half long. So
hear me out. You find 100 men that are willing to die and okay with death, they could defeat that gorilla. That's all I'll say.
But they'd just be ready to die.
He'll kill the first 50. Number 60 is going to go in. East.
Right you?
I'm not going. I'm not doing that. I'm scared. I'm scared to die from a gorilla. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't say I would do it. I'm just saying 100 random men. Yeah, thank you guys for watching us. If you're still watching, you're a true champ. Thank you very much. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PM Football Pod. Follow us on TikTok as well at PM Football Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Let us know who your team is, what you thought of their drafts.
Who was your loser? Who was your winner?
Exactly.
Who was your steal?
And even if you're fans of the Commanders or Bills, let us know what you think of, our team's drafts. Let us know what you think about the whole Shedeur situation. Everyone has an opinion on it. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.